Hey everybody, this is Danielle here, the Wicked Awesome Gardener, and welcome to the first episode of Wicked Awesome Gardening. Or if I say it in my native Bostonian, Wicked Awesome Gardening Kid. I grew up on the North Shore, so I don't quite have the accent unless I'm around the right people. I wasn't planning to film tonight. I wanted more time to prepare and get everything ready. But the world kind of went crazy tonight, and I need some zen, and what better way to do that than to get your hands dirty and just play in the dirt. So it's a bit early, being the first week of January, but I'm going to start my peppers, and I'll tell you why. I like to start them early because once they get going and they set out a few leaves, peppers tend to grow straight up, and then they grow the little peppers off of every, the crooks in between the leaves. But what you can do when they grow a few sets of true leaves, you can top them by cutting the plant just below the top set of leaves, and the plant will actually branch out, and then you have more peppers. It grows into more of a bush versus just one straight up plant. So that means it's going to take a couple weeks to regroup and recover and put out those new shoots. So that's why I start them early. So while I go through and get that ready and start getting those planted, I'm going to talk just a little bit about how Wicked Awesome Gardening came to be. So as some of you who know me have seen, I have had a porch garden going on at my old apartment for the last 2 seasons. It all started with one tomato plant, and then I went, oh, well, I have room for 2. Then I got some peppers and some peas, and more planters started to crowd my little porch. It eventually spilled over to the back patio. The back patio only had a little bit of sun. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to start it here with, you can see that, my old 18 cell tray. I actually just picked up a new one over at Home Depot. Looks like this. So 18 cells where there's a pretty decent, like I can fit my whole fist in there, decent amount of space for the new plants to grow, so you don't have to pot them up quite as soon. I also do use, for things a little smaller than peppers and tomatoes, I do also have a 72 cell tray, a couple of these, for starting things that don't need quite as much room, and I have to transplant those a little sooner, but not so bad. I've got here a Miracle Grow potting mix because this is what Home Depot had at the time. But I also have the Jiffy seed starting mix, which I like because it's very fine. It really there's not a lot of material that the plants have to try to get through to get up to the surface. So I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle this in here. And just fill these pots. So yeah, I've had the porch garden for 2 years. And then in November, my apartment building sold, and the new owner needed to live in my unit. So I got lucky enough to find a really great place that's being rented by somebody that I know. And it comes with this amazing little sun porch here. Gets sun all day long. It's heated out here, so it's a great place to start all my plants. And I was told I can go crazy with the side yard, which is very sunny. No trees in the way of the sun that, could give me any trouble there. So I finally get to grow in ground and make a big raised bed garden. So that will be the plan for this year. And oh guys, there are going to be cattle panel trellises. There are going to be cold frames and That cattle panel has a secret weapon that turns it into a row cover or to put up shade cloth, or oh, I'm getting messy over here. Some shade cloth, some be a nice little cold frame so that I will be able to grow earlier in spring and later into the summer. So it's going to be a lot of really cool things happening out there. There's also, I'm growing a pretty wide variety out there. I've basically brought it to about 200 square feet of growing space. And that's not counting the 2-foot border that will go down the long way and then the short way toward the back of the garden and down the left side. That will be a pollinator garden. It will have herbs and blueberries and strawberries. So that'll bring in a lot of bees, really help out with the pollination of the garden itself, and it's just going to look really nice. So we're going to go through all of that. While I get my peppers started, I'll just show you just some of the seed varieties I have here, and it's a really, really crazy variety here. Yeah, so here I've got some herbs. I've got some lavender, rosemary, sage, San Marzano tomatoes. I'm going to grow some morning glories because we have the fence along the side, so that'll climb up and make that look really nice. Let's see, sweet peas, not the food, the plant or the flower. Nasturtium. I have never actually had these. I have never grown these, but apparently the flowers are edible. So really great for pollination, and then they make a nice addition to a salad. So I'm going to give that a shot. One thing that I don't have the bulbs for yet, but I'm going to be growing later on, is saffron. Saffron actually comes from a crocus that blooms in the fall. So you plant the bulbs themselves around June. The grass starts growing up in about August, and then September, October, you get beautiful little crocus bulbs, and each of them have 3 little strings of saffron. It takes, oh God, what is it, like 80,000 of these crocuses to make 1 pound of saffron. That's why it is the most expensive spice on earth. And so I don't really use it. I've never used it, but I just found it so cool that I can grow it in my garden. So I'm going to give it a shot, make some saffron rice or whatever it is that you make with it. More flowers here. I'm growing a whole bunch of sunflowers. I like to grow mammoth sunflowers. These are the 12 to 14 foot massive sunflowers. I like to grow them for the seeds because I like to snack on them. So I'll be growing those. Also, it's really good for the bees. Bees love sunflowers. So I also got, just for sake of how pretty it's going to look, lemon queen sunflower and firecatcher sunflower. Look at that. Look at that. I love it. What do we got here? We got some turnips, cantaloupe, watermelon. I'm growing 3 different cucumbers this year. Boston Pickling, Marketmore cucumbers, and Space Master, which is a bush cucumber, but it's still vine, so you got to support it. Ground cherries I picked up for a friend. She's really happy. Lots of carrots. I've saved some of my own seed from last year. So these are jalapeno. Those are getting planted tonight. My bell peppers also getting planted tonight. These are red bell peppers. If you harvest them early, they're green and they're still delicious. Those are my Boston Pickling cucumbers. I won't plant those yet. Zinnia flowers. I had so many zinnias last year. This envelope is stuffed. Let's see. Mini patio baby eggplant. These make these little eggplants that are about this big. And they're delicious. I love to slice them up and just roast them, or I'll toss them in a little egg and panko breading and then pour some tomato sauce over them. They're just really great like that, but it's really good to add some pasta. And then Brandywine tomato. I grew pink brandywine in a large container last year. Massive, huge, like this big tomatoes. So I saved some good seed from that. What else are we growing? Let's see, we have more herbs here. So chives, thyme, basil, oregano. We've got radishes, zucchini, Roma tomatoes, nice paste tomato. I'm going to try those against the San Marzano and see which one I like better and see what we get. Let's see, we got some cilantro, some spaghetti squash. I'm really psyched for that. Let's see, Sweet 100 cherry. This tomato is awesome. It takes over, and that's going to be really, really awesome. Let's see, there's my Space Saver cucumbers. Nice beefsteak tomato. I grew these seeds last year, and they weren't great, but also I got hit with an early blight. The snow came down in May and just ruined the tomatoes that I had just set out like a few days earlier. It was not a good year for my tomatoes, aside from those pink brandywines. Some Utah Spanish onions. I'm going to get those started tonight too. Carrots, cantaloupe. I mean, there's some other varieties that I'm waiting for. They're coming in the mail. I put in a pretty big order. Well, for me, a big order. We'll see how that looks in future years. From my favorite YouTuber, Luke over at MI Gardener. So if you guys get a chance, if you guys need seed, go to migardener.com. $2 a pack. Great varieties, like amazing varieties. What did I order today? I've got the rose tomato, which is like a brand, I think he said a hybrid between a Rutgers tomato and a Brandywine, to kind of toughen up the skins because Brandywines are really prone to cracking. So this kind of helps with that, but it's a nice big beefy tomato. I'm growing Black Beauty tomatoes. These tomatoes are just pitch black. So, and supposedly they have a really nice acidity. I can't wait to try them. So we're going with Black Beauty tomatoes. Another one called Mortgage Lifter, which are supposed to be close to like 2 pounds, like two-handed tomatoes. It's going to be great. And also one that I didn't know existed until today was the Great White Tomato. So I'm excited to see how that goes. So I'm going to go ahead and get these potted up. I will show you one thing before we go. So you can see how dusty and dry this seed mix is. So it's really hard. If I were to hit this with the watering can, some of it would sink in, but then most of this would just stay dry and skate on the surface of the water. So it'll just hang out there, and it's not great. It's just really not great. So what I do after I get this set in, and I'll show you, take you around. Hello, there's my salad greens over there, lemon and lime trees, and I got my kale. It's a mess in here right now because I'm just getting the seeds setting set up. So I like to take a little spray bottle like this full of water, and I will not shoot it as a spray. I will spray the dirt like this to slightly dampen it instead of hitting it with big rivulets from the watering can. So this helps get the top nice and wet and soak through, and then you can hit it with the watering can later on. So, you know, pro tip from me. And I promise my camera skills and editing will get better as this channel comes along. But I'm just really excited to see you guys here and take you along on my journey as I'm going to show you how I set up the beds, because right now all that's out there is just lawn. So I'm going to show you how I set up the beds, how I protect from weeds, and how I build my cattle panel trellises and put in my flowers, everything. I'm going to take you along for the ride. So glad to have you here, and everybody have a great day. Thank you.